graph above shows the total of Malaysia food export from 2010 until 2020. Based on graph, it shows unstable pattern because at the certain year the total export decreased. In 2010, the total of the food export was RM18.99 billion before it was increased consistently from 2011, RM22.37 billion, 2012, RM23.57 billion, 2013, RM25.07 billion. Until 2014, RM27.44 billion before it was decreased to RM24.91 billion in 2015. After that, it increased back to RM25.73 billion in 2016 before it was decreased again to RM25.68 billion in 2017. Then it increased once again to RM26.78 billion before it was slightly decreased to RM26.41 billion in 2020.
The Malaysia food import from 2010 until 2020, it really showed that the pattern is unfavorable because of the 13 years in decrease and increase. In 2010, total import of food is RM20.8 billion and it keep increasing. In 2011, we reached the total of imported food is RM24.9 billion. In 2012, the total import food is RM27.27 billion. In 2013, the total of imported food is RM28.32. In years 2015 and 2016, we reached the only 25.97 billion and RM25.21 billion. In 2019, the total of imported food is RM28.17 billion and RM30.03 billion in years 2020.
Today, I would like to talk about the distinguish between import and export of food commodities in Malaysia. For your information, our country does not require a license for all import and export goods. However, the trader must first register with the Malaysian Company Commission in order to import or export product that need a license. After register it, they must apply to the Ministry of International Trade and Industry for an import license. Import food commodities. Malaysia is one most developed country in Southeast Asia. Also, a major importer with food with annual import of 14 billion US dollar. In certain food market segment, we depend almost 100%, such as in the meat sector along with dairy, seafood and cocoa. For both imported such as the meat sector, it must be certified halal and come from the slaughterhouse that have been reviewed and licensed by Malaysian Veterinary and Religious Authority. Meanwhile, in export food commodity, in Malaysia, we have especially processed food was for 12.6% to RM12.6 billion in first 8 months of this year from 11.24 billion ringgit in the same period last year. According to Malaysia External Trade Development Corporation, based on Chief Executive Officer Datuk Zulkifli Mahmud said, the top destinations were Singapore, China, Indonesia, Australia and Thailand. Our main export was, as you know, cereal, flour preparation, margarine, cocoa, and many more. In fact, the Bank Negara Malaysia, in its bulletin for the first quarter in 2019, report that 33 commonly consumed agricultural products, with 16 have a self-sufficiency ratio (SSR) of more than 100%.
The factors of which affect the increase of import shown by 2010 until 2020 is exchange rate. Exchange rate, the outflow of funds increases as the volume of imports will grow. Secondly, will be known as inflation. Inflations, the prices of goods will increases, and in the same time, the supplying of goods will decreases. According to the code, it will increase. Thirdly, will be known as population. Populations vast we known. The statistics prove that the number of population increased rapidly, and the needed of goods and service eventually will increases too. And here we know the world's population increase, so does the demand on goods and services will increases. Lastly, will be consumer behavior. When the population grows, the amount of food required will increase, necessitating the importance of food will be more to consumer. This is why the impact of imports grows.
Major food commodities import in Malaysia. Malaysia is a country that import rice from Thailand. In 2019, Thailand shipped in 7.11 million tons of rice in the first 11 months of 2019. We saw a production of 30.4% over the same period for the previous years. In 2020, Malaysia signed a contract to import 100,000 tons of rice from India, that most in these 5 years. Malaysia import of milk and cream from New Zealand, US, and Australia are major supplier for dairy products. Those 95% of coconut beans are import having an important value of USD 1.08 billions. Indonesia cocoa is suitable for billing with Malaysia cocoa and is the proximity of the supplier is a plus. Malaysia import beef meat from India, Australia, and New Zealand. Australia and New Zealand are major sources of quality halal meats. For fish and seafood products, Malaysia import from Thailand because Thailand is the main supplier of the product, followed by Chinese, Indonesia, Vietnam, and US.
The countries involved in food import to Malaysia, most of them from China, India, Thailand, Indonesia, and New Zealand. China is a Malaysia's top supplier since 2009. Food products imported from China are vegetables such as cabbage. Next, Malaysia has imported food products such as onions and beef from India due to consumer interest and taste in Malaysia. Thailand has imported fruit such as pineapple, mango, and banana into Malaysia. Indonesia also involved in food import to Malaysia such as coconut. Indonesia is a major importer of coconut. The last one is New Zealand. New Zealand has imported dairy products to Malaysia. This is because New Zealand is the largest supplier of dairy products in the world.
The total amount for Indonesia is 4,130,092.27. The total amount for Brazil is 3,159,100.91. For Argentina is 2,550,840.23. For Thailand is 3,138,163.22. For Singapore is 2,243,118.60. Now is 1,928,557.40.
Next is from 2015 until 2020. So as you can see at the left hand here, we have the table show 2015 to 2018. So always Indonesia is at the highest rate. That's mean Malaysia spend more of the USD dollar for importing food from Indonesia. However, in the year of 2019, Malaysia spent USD $63.7 million for importing dairy fruit such as milk from New Zealand, US, and Australia, and $964.65 million USD for importing foods and seafood products, which are from China, Indonesia, Vietnam, and US. Lastly, in the year of 2020, last year, Malaysia spent USD 13 billion for importing food commodities.